Go for it, Ed.
Okay. I'm an old 10-1 veteran. That's where I got to know Linda. I want to thank Change Austin and Manage Austin Better for giving me a few minutes this evening to describe an organization that I've put together called Audit Austin. It's currently underway and it's growing. We share a common interest in improving the transparency, accountability, and fiscal responsibility of Austin City government and management. And it's my purpose this evening to just describe to you a little bit about who we are, what we hope to accomplish in some of our areas of interest. The purpose of Audit Austin, we are a group coming together to improve the transparency, accountability, and fiscal responsibility of Austin's city government and management. Who are we? What do our supporters look like? We are a nonpartisan group. Our supporters are citywide. They come from all income levels. They represent a diverse group of concerns regarding city government. They represent a diverse group of expertise. I'm proud to say that many of them are considered some of the best experts in the city in their respective fields. We're currently at 100 supporters that are very politically active and involved, and that number is growing. What do we hope to do? We hope to generate sufficiently well-documented issues to warrant an outside audit or series of audits of various government functions that have become questionable in many respects. It is our belief that outside audits will be more credible and more balanced in their findings, for better or worse, than an internal audit, and we'd like to see more audits similar to what was done with the Zucker report. How do we plan to move forward with these audit requests? By presenting the documentation that we generate to the City Council and demanding action or approval for outside audits, by informing the public of our findings and asking for their support via social media, news media, town hall meetings, petition drives, whatever gets attention. I think it's important to give you some idea of the kinds of things that we might want to investigate that have come to the forefront because very credible questions have been raised over time or are currently being raised. It's just a sampling. We would like to know whether or not bond-related expenditures are in fact being spent in line with what the voters approved those expenditures to be, precisely what the contract provisions regarding the biomass energy plant are, and what out options exist. As Brian mentioned, the city's currently on the hook for approximately $54 million a year, and what do we get in return for that? Nothing.
You're speaking about the biomass.
Yeah, I'm sorry, did I say something else?
You did say.
I just wanted to make sure they knew you were referring to the biomass.
I'm rushing, so I may have misstated myself, but apparently I was on the mark there. There have been serious issues raised about a lead abatement program, which has primarily been focused on older East Austin housing, unspent missing funds, fraudulent claims from contractors, unfilled city staff positions which number in the hundreds, and the budget monies allocated for those positions which total in the millions of dollars that are being redirected for other uses within the city without proper authorization and documentation and accounting. Here's one you've heard mentioned several times tonight. The performance metric system the City of Austin uses, and in this case I'm referring to how they measure the performance of various programs that money is expended on and the performance of various departments. And I'll offer you a direct quote from an internal audit conducted by the city auditor in October of 2014. As part of the executive summary, the City of Austin has established a framework for performance measurement. However, more efforts are needed to ensure its effective implementation and ensure that departments consistently provide relevant and reliable information to stakeholders and decision makers. In 5 of the 7 departments selected for detailed testing, we found that departmental KPIs, that's key performance indicators, did not consistently provide performance information that was relevant, defined as logically related to pertinent performance expectations, reliable, defined as verifiable and free from biases, and or integrated in staff performance evaluation. As a final example, this is a little bit more future oriented, the tax swap idea presented by the mayor in his State of the City address. I don't know how many of you have been able to see that, watch that, saw the videotape. The mayor is proposing a very legally complex procedure swapping taxes between the City of Austin and AISD. It is a very legally complex idea, and we'll be demanding that as those details are unveiled, that there be extreme transparency. We do not need another pilot knob part 2. I think it's very realistic to expect significant pushback from the poor school districts and possible intervention from the state legislature. Finally,
you have lawsuits behind that, guaranteed.
I suspect that's going to be. I suspect that's going to be the case.
I'm listening, guaranteed.
The poor school districts are not going to put up with that for a minute.
Okay, just finish, please.
I'll wrap up by asking or explaining to you what we need and reach out to you. We need you. We need involved and concerned citizens. Critical. We need your stories or case studies. We need people that are close to the action, that know which rocks to turn over and where to find the details for the investigations that we want to conduct. We need administrative help. Those that are experienced with nonprofits, we need help in all areas. We have it now. We need more. We need researchers. We need those with special skills, legal skills, accounting skills. We still have a few slots remaining in the executive committee. We'd like to have additional people have an interest in being involved in the management of the organization. And we ask that you, if you have an interest, that we put you on our email list. Our contact information is on the flyers that were out for distribution. Follow along on Facebook. We do have a Facebook page up called Audit Austin. It's being filled out. Follow along. We'll try to keep you updated with what we're doing. We'll have a website up in the near future. And as I stated, the contact information to get in touch with me is on the flyer. I thank you very much for your time. I thank for Fred and Linda.
Thank you, Ed. Karen and then Larry Akers.
I have a question for Ed.
Okay, I'm sorry, but we're not doing question and answer from the floor, Clint, and we're about to run out of time too.
This was tied to Richard's point about the petition to the United States Attorney. We're here because our elected officials decided we couldn't have a hearing about what they were doing as far as evaluation is concerned.
Right.
We don't have to be here. We have issues particularly involving the lead, which involve bribery, forgery, any number of other criminal activities. Great Panthers met with the city council. I was asked to bring them back a year ago in March. We laid all this out to them. Repeatedly, we've gone back and asked for reports of members. So our problem is not just with Mr. Hart. It's with the system, as Richard said. The way you look at the system is the way they just did in Crystal City. Look at the newspapers. All except one city councilman went to jail, or at least with the rest of them. Look at that. It's a systemic issue. So Great Panthers are moving in that direction. We welcome your help, and we need to look at the system and not just anecdotal information is fine. But if Mr. Hart left tomorrow, I doubt it would make a whole hell of a lot of difference right now.
Thank you. Go ahead, Karen.
Hi, my name is Karen Krebs. My husband and I moved to Austin from New York in 1993. We were very fortunate to find a place to live sandwiched between Mopac and Barton Creek. And we came for high-tech jobs. I have been associated helping with the website for Change Austin and with Brian's Cost of Growth. But what matters to me most here in Austin is that I get to swim almost every day in Barton Springs year-round. I'd like to just see a show of hands of who in this room has ever swam in that beautiful pool. There's hardly a hand down here. Barton Springs we all love, we care about, and I think that Mark Ott and the city management has been pimping Barton Springs since he got there. The PARD is terribly mismanaged. I would like to call for Sarah Hensley to step down. The park has been killing its trees, and the trees that don't die from neglect are being cut down for construction projects. The whole park is being sold to private interests like C3 for Austin city limits and all of those things so that you can't get chipped through it. And there's no attention and support being given to the wonderful work that Save Our Springs Alliance is doing to protect the water aquifer and what happens upstream. I'm very happy that I live right near the Spyglass entrance. We used to have a Clivus Multrum there. It's been shut down for 3 or 4 years, screwed up with no explanation because they couldn't maintain it. Now they want to build a second bathhouse on the south side of Barton Springs, and this week on Tuesday there was a meeting about all of the plans to develop the north side. We just got through 5 miserable years of the master plan, which I fought as much as possible trying to modify. In many respects I was successful with other swimmers who saw the ridiculousness of putting moving the entrance and putting sidewalks this way and that way on the south lawn. And now that that's done, all of a sudden they want to completely rip out everything on the north side and rearrange it to make Barton Springs restored to its former glory. I am really sick and tired of the city supporting private interest groups like the Barton Springs Conservancy and Friends of Barton Springs Pool with Robin Cravey and his political ambitions. For many years, I attended a lot of the planning board and the, what was it called, the group that oversees Barton Springs, I'm sorry, can't think of it, and the joint committees, and felt like I was going to dog and pony shows and these rondelets, roulettes, where I would spend lots of time and get nothing said. They would splinter us into little groups. People really care about Barton Springs, and they've made it really, really hard for those of us who care about it to protect it. When I go there, the rates increase to park, to go swimming. I spent 6 months going to monthly meetings about the signage at the pool, and all of the input that we gave has been completely ignored. There have been just new signs. Driving here tonight, I saw a new permanent sign about Barton Springs Gardener as I drove on Barton Springs Road. We don't need all of this signage. We don't need the machinery that's in there. They moved the staff parking away from the prime area to slightly down out of the way for several years. It's just been moved back. There's no sense of making it user-friendly. There's no way to get there on there's very little way to get there on public transportation. And now where I live is being threatened by the Campo plan to build the super highway. It's going to cost an average of $13 to cross Lady Bird Lake by car in the express lane. And I have many friends who have been squeezed out of Austin who can't afford to stay here. I'm begging some change in management so that our park is preserved. It's just, there's so many people coming to Austin, there's got to be a better management and a way to preserve our parks and to add more greenery, not to build more Disneyland and river walks in Austin.
Thank you. Okay, now we have a problem. I lied. I said we were going to finish at 8:30 and we're not going to. Is Larry Akers still here?
Right here.
Can you do 2 minutes?
I'll do my best.
Please. And then Fred's going to have 2 minutes and then we're going to stop.
So this is not a sweeping issue like some that we've listened to, but I think that it's as indicative of what's going on in the city manager's office as anything I know of. I've been deeply involved with the redevelopment of Auditorium Shores and the creation of Butler Park from its outset. Back in 1998, the voters authorized a tax on car rentals to fund the development of the Palmer Event Center and those parcels of parkland. The previous city manager early in that process oversaw a scheme which by contract allowed that money, a large part of it, to be diverted to the operations and maintenance of the convention center department in Palmer. There was a period back around 2003 when this first started to come to light, when the directors of the project announced that there just wouldn't be enough money to redo anything on Auditorium Shores. And it was only then that it came to light what was being done with the money. A large part of that, about $10 million, has been spent just on bonuses for convention center department employees because they had so much slush money from the operations and maintenance that they were able to take that money home. Well, after we finally got Butler Park on the ground and called to the city on the carpet, the CFO offered $7 million to finish out Auditorium Shores, but by the time PARD figured out what to do with that, the convention center department had spent that too on its operations. So we confronted the city again in 2009. Rudy Garza said he would fix that, wean the convention center department from that fund. Nothing happened, stonewalled for a couple years. When the boom made it apparent that the revenue stream was exploding the way it was, and there would be plenty of money to deal with Auditorium Shores, Rudy invented the story that Auditorium Shores, after all, was not part of the venue project where that money could be spent. That was a complete fabrication, absolute lie. It flew in the face of the financial plan that the city council had adopted for the project. So Rudy eventually left. We decided, okay, Mark Ott's all for open governance. We'll take the question to him. He basically adopted the lie. So ever since then, he's used the city legal department to stonewall city council action to try to remedy the problem. And to this date, nothing has been done. The mayor recently offered to put together a meeting between the city manager's office and people involved with the project so that we can quit talking past the city councils on what's going on with this. And this was 2 months ago, and there's been no response. So essentially, I mean, my feeling about it is that Mark Ott may not have invented the lie about the project that has allowed this to continue, but he's adopted it. And on my better days, I am optimistic and expect some degree of good judgment from the city manager and the government. But I demand honesty. And Mark Ott has adopted the lie, and he's got to go.
So Fred,
I'm going to wrap this up.
thank you, Fred, manage Austin better.
Thank you, everyone, for coming, for being good citizens. You took the first action step, which was to come out tonight and give your input on what you think about city management. I wanted to give you a few action steps that you can take in the next couple of days. First, you can go to Manage Austin Better.
ATX Better.
Manage Austin Better, right?
ATX.
Well, if they put in Manage Austin Better, you'll get it.
Got it.
And you can fill out the petition that asks to replace the city manager. And you also can fill out an evaluation form. There's some up there where you can actually get to evaluate the city manager for yourself. And we will present that to the council and make sure they know people care.
Actually, can I interrupt you for a second? I'm gonna
I don't think
suggest
I have a
something.
choice.